And now for tip number 5, let's talk about taking great wildlife photography. I think most people, especially if you go to any sort of tropical place or a place where there's some interesting exotic fauna, wildlife, most people are trying to bring back this great wildlife photo that again captures the spirit of the place. I think, like taking portrait photography, capturing wildlife photography and creating that connection with your audience to the animal can actually be more difficult than taking a shot of a person, because obviously the animal is much less predictable than a person, and you can't really ask the animal to sit and pose, or at least not very often, unless maybe you're in a zoo, and even then you probably can't get the animal to pose. So let's look at what makes a successful wildlife photo. So obviously wildlife photography is a pretty broad subject. I mean, this could be anything from a meerkat in Africa to an orangutan in Borneo to your dog at home. All of these are obviously animals with different behaviors and different personalities and different perceptions to the audience. So I think what you first want to think about is, what does the animal sort of symbolize to your audience? If it's a lion, it'll symbolize power, maybe danger. If it's a monkey, maybe it's silly, funny, playful. If it's a wolf, maybe it's dangerous, predatory, risky. Think about it again, almost like you're casting for a movie. What part in your movie would this animal play? What role does this animal have? I'll use an example of this orangutan that I shot in Borneo this year. This was the sort of the large dominant male. I mean, actually a very frightening animal, and this thing apparently could literally rip you in half. It's 4 times stronger than a human, and they are partly carnivorous. I mean, they'll eat meat. They actually kill and eat other monkeys and primates. So yeah, it was risky. So as I was taking this series of shots, I was trying to capture, the power and the dominant nature of this, alpha male orangutan in Borneo. So as it turned out, when we came across this particular orangutan, our guide, told us to sort of stay back, a healthy distance, because, again, this is a wild animal, and there's no cage or bars in between us. We're just out in the jungle of Borneo, and it was a really hot day, so this thing's got a lot of thick fur, so it was just sort of relaxing, but it just had this kind of menace about it, that it would kind of look at you, and it was scary. So I was trying to bring that tension back, but then also show a little bit of the personality of this orangutan that was sort of the king. So at one point, it kind of looked right at me, and he had his thumb up, as if he's giving me the thumbs up, and it just had this sort of a little bit of a wink to the camera, but it also had this big hulking, because I use a zoom lens to really get a tight shot and compress the sort of the hulk of the thing into the frame, that it created a bit of tension, and then the thumbs up sort of diffuses it. So that, I was happy with how that shot turned out, because it kind of, again, you've got the eye contact, which is also really important. Even with animals, if you can time your shot so that you're making eye contact with the animal as you shoot the frame, again, just naturally, people will connect more to that subject because you're making eye contact with it. People are very, again, very visual, and we really read a lot into that when you make eye contact with something. And obviously with a wild animal, that can be dangerous. Luckily, if you're behind the lens, maybe it can't tell that you're making eye contact with it, but obviously you want to keep an eye out, or have a guide ready to sort of let you know if you've crossed the line with your animal subject.